People have asked me for a live demo of what it looks like to use AVO in the inpatient side. So I'm going to start with rounding because that's what I do for all of my patients. And the way that it works is we have access to all of the patient data, right? What I'm showing you is my vendor services Epic display, because as a vendor, this is what I can show you. Of course, as a user, you have notes, orders, labs. This is the AVO tab itself. And so what you're seeing here is AVO, and then you have notes and orders and whatever else that's accessible here on the side panel. But all of this is AVO. It was able to pull in all of the patient data, and you could see the patient data that's pulled in, labs, vitals, notes, problems, etc. So we have discrete and non-discrete data. We also have access to Care Everywhere data. Of course, we work not just in Epic, but in Meditech, Athena. The biggest inpatient workflows across Meditech and Epic currently. And then the way that it works is, right, as I'm pre-rounding, I want to understand as a hospitalist what's going on with this patient. So give me a snapshot of what's going on. Give me a clinical brief, what happened over the last 24 hours. And then I'll take a look at these others if it's relevant, the previous assessment and plan, timeline of notable events, and I can see any of these different parts if I want to go through them. This is called my clinical brief, and then my data hub takes me into historical data and things that are updated. My specialist insight and plan takes me into if there's any consult notes. But all of this is for me to digest, okay, what's going on with this patient and how do I need to take it into account for what I want to do? If we can also have the AI ingest it, then the AI is able to do a differential diagnosis, evaluation and management planning, and CDI diagnoses. Effectively, what the AI does is it takes this same process of information from data extraction, meaning the EHR data on the patient, and then takes a look at the appropriate guidelines, which I would usually reference. What should I do for this patient's heart failure, breast cancer, hypertension, etc.? As long as I know what's actually going on. So differential, evaluation and management, and then not just looking at the CDS guidelines, but looking at the CDI guidelines. How do I appropriately craft my notes to be able to account for the things that I need to account for billing? And then ultimately what that does is it allows me to auto write my note drafts, HPI, an assessment and plan with each of these different components that guide me as to why these are components that I can accept to add in as additional components of my plan or reject. By the way, the accept reject function is tracked by analytics, so you can always see compliance or adherence to guidelines with rejection understanding of, oh, do we actually need to change what we're doing in our guidelines? And then, I could also reject all remaining and do other parts like, oh, I need to auto create a discharge summary because I need to discharge my patient. Sure, let's take you through here. We've recently announced that we're working with MCG to add in another layer for systems that want it, which is not only can we compare to CDS guidelines, CDI guidelines, but we can also take the patient data and compare to the MCG utilization management guidelines for discharge, or otherwise known as the recovery milestones, to be able to understand if the patient should actually go home or not, and if they qualify for that. And that's a product that we've put together out with MCG. So anyway, over here where we've created our discharge summary draft, it includes hospital course, it includes the problems, and a suggested discharge plan. Similar idea, I'll just reject all remaining for now to be able to do this. The discharge plan, the notes that are otherwise created, can be populated as dot phrases that'll be auto-created within my note templates so that they can auto-create, in this case, a discharge note that's part of my discharge summary. We can also auto-append orders in the order cart. And then last but not least, we're able to send these into a scribe layer if you want to layer on any audio, ambient listening, dictation, to the data that's processing the notes.